So one of the other theories we want to talk about is something that comes from one of the clues given in Rumble's Revenge, that Gravity Falls has a secret society.
I'm ready to believe that.
Yeah, there's evidence everywhere. I mean, Grunkle Stan.
His fez.
His fez.
First of all, I mean, there's a whole bunch of fraternities and societies out there that their members, they wear fezzes.
Yeah.
Because
fezzes are cool.
They are cool. The Elks, for example, their members wear fezzes.
Yeah.
And then there's the Masonic symbol on it.
Yeah.
I believe that right now.
Oh, yeah, and so Grunkle Stan's probably a member of that.
Most definitely.
And so possibly that whatever machine was in at the end had something to do with that secret society. Possibly the books having something to do with the secret society. And while we're on the subject of the books, let's talk about who wrote the books.
That is a good question.
Yeah, I mean, there is a whole bunch of speculation about the different characters and who could have written the books, but the most popular theory for a while seemed to be Stan. Yeah, I don't think so either.
He definitely knows about them.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious in the last episode. But
I don't think it logically makes sense that he wrote them.
No.
Why would he have one book and then hide the others? And
yeah,
I mean, they might be very closely related to him, but I'm pretty sure he didn't write them.
I mean, it's not like you make a wish on them and then they scatter throughout the world. These aren't Dragon Balls. I have my own theory, but you were saying something, maybe it was Old Man McGucket?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's one of my two theories. But as for McGucket, he knows things he shouldn't know. It's sort of like he mentions the wax figure uprising. Can we survive the wax figure uprising?
Obviously they can, because it already happened.
Yeah, and then a couple episodes later, the wax figures. So, and the fact that he has the cast on his hand and the books have the 6 fingers, so maybe he's missing a finger and that's hiding it.
Oh, that's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And if you subscribe to the Stan twin theory, he looks a lot like Stan. He's crazy, so it makes sense in the context of Bill Cipher, that if Bill Cipher goes to people's minds and stuff, that maybe he's the reason McGucket went crazy. And that's why there's the don't trust this person scribbled all over that page, plus the possible blood splatter and stuff. And then I also just like the idea that the writer of the books, the person who knows all this stuff, wouldn't ever be able to tell anyone because since they consider him just a crazy old man, nobody would listen. And I really like that idea. So one of my other theories that I like is that multiple people wrote the books. Or it's the same, or one person wrote a rough sketch and then people kept adding to it. Because there's a whole bunch of different inks. There's cursive and there's print. There's notes all over the sides that don't seem consistent. So I think maybe someone wrote it or multiple people wrote it and just kept adding to it like Dipper is now.
My personal theory, it goes into yours, it was written by multiple people. But I think it ties in with the Secret Society.
Oh, yeah.
That the Secret Society was started by the person who wrote the first one. Somebody down the line wrote the second one. And another person wrote the third one. And members throughout the society, they've scrawled their own notes into the books. It's quite possible that Stan and Old Man McGucket, maybe even the police officers, have written their own notes into it.
And so that's how they knew about it. Maybe that's how Stan got the first book.
That's how he knows about it.
And that's how McGucket knows about the wax figures. So that's a great theory. So the next thing we're going to talk about are just fun little theories and things about certain characters. The big one we want to talk about is Soos. Yeah.
Soos is awesome.
Soos is awesome. I love Soos. The reason this one kind of comes up is there's 2 sources for this one. The first one is Rumble's Revenge. The clue that the handyman knows more than you think.
And that's obviously a reference to Soos.
Yeah, and then the second reference, which is obviously Soos from Dreamcatchers, is you're a lot more clever than you look, especially the fat one.
And then Soos says to Mabel, he's talking about you.
Such a great character. So we were talking about this, and we kind of came up with a consensus on the fact that we think he definitely knows more than everyone thinks he does. I mean, that's proven from episode 1. But he doesn't have any bad intentions in mind with his information or anything.
No, I mean, if there's a truly nice character in all of Gravity Falls, it's Soos.
Yeah.
He means well.
I'm thinking maybe he knows more and doesn't realize he knows as much as he does. Or there's actually a really great, well thought out theory that Soos is purposefully distracting the twins. So it's kind of like in Land Before Swine, except for it's not accidental, it's on purpose, that his stupidity is actually an act. Unfortunately, it'll take way too long to go an explanation about this theory, so I'm going to leave a link in the description below to a video that has some really nice evidence and explanation for it. And then also the thing I want to throw out there is the fact that I believe Wendy and Robbie are going to have a huge, much bigger part than they do in this season, next season.
Oh, I can see this being so funny.
Well, I mean, even Hirsch himself mentioned that Robbie will have a bigger role. He'll have fish to fry with the Pines family. So
I just see something really funny happening here. Like at some point, it's a parallel to Ghostbusters, and Robbie, he's the keymaster, and Wendy's the gatekeeper, and then Wendy's like, no.
So the last part of the theories is just fun speculation, headcanon, random theories, and that kind of stuff. The first one is actually pretty, I don't know if I subscribe to it, but a pretty well thought out theory, which is the one we were talking about earlier, the Stan twin theory. So I think that I'll leave a link to a pretty detailed analysis of it down below. But essentially, what it's saying is that Stan, kind of like Dipper and Mabel, had a twin.
I could see that happening. I personally don't believe it, but I
don't believe it based on the evidence. I don't think there's enough evidence to, but I like the idea in theory that I do like that there would be that kind of parallel between Dipper and Mabel and Stan and the twin. But some of the evidence is like, oh, well, his hair's styled differently in this flashback. I'm like, well, it's a different time period. And then this one he has a cleft chin and this one he doesn't. Like,
those are called animation errors.
Yeah. So some of them I don't really, this car saying Stanley and stuff, I'm like, well, people can call someone Stanford Stanley as a nickname. But there is one piece of evidence from Dreamscapers that made me seriously consider this theory, which is when Grunkle Stan has his flashbacks and he's learning to fight in a boxing match, I believe. And in the background, you can see a kid that looks basically identical, wearing the same clothes and everything, but his face is hidden by a book. And everything in Gravity Falls is purposeful, as we were talking about earlier. So it made me seriously consider this theory, and that's why I find it, even though I'm not quite convinced, I find it extremely plausible. So basically, the theory is plausible. There's nothing in the series that makes it so it doesn't work.
We'll see what season 2 brings
We'll see what season 2... Yeah. It's a good theory to keep in mind. So another one of the really fun theories is the Robbie is a zombie theory.
And that's based on something from, what was it, the first episode?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where the book outright says,
yeah.
Zombies, often confused with teenagers.
Yeah, known for their pale skin and bad attitude, these creatures are often mistaken for teenagers. So that's one of the big bases. And then there's a lot of other clues and everything, including the stitched heart in the sweatshirt, the fact that he had the hypnotic CD, the poster for his band, which is The Tombstones, You're Dead, the zombies rule in the van, and during the inconveniencing, not to mention he randomly disappears during the conveniencing. Because everyone gets transferred to different places except for Dipper and Wendy and him, but we don't know where it happens to him. He just randomly disappears and then comes back.
He probably was just hiding in the closet.
And then there's just the fact that he's Robbie, and then the references to zombie, so like Rob Zombie, the guitarist.
Yeah, chances are, I think, the creators are just messing with us.
Yeah, I think they're just messing with us, having fun. Parallels to Dead. Maybe it's foreshadowing of what's to come. Maybe he has something to do with the dead, but he's not technically a zombie. Some say he's a necromancer. If he is a zombie, though, I don't think it's going to be the brain-eating zombies that we think of from that Hollywood's created, but more along the lines of the mythology and folklore from the Haitian or voodoo cultures, which is actually quite interesting. So I recommend Googling the zombie folklore. Another fun one that I just kind of laughed at when I saw, which makes me chuckle. It's kind of a headcanon thing that Manly Dan was raised or taught by the Manitars.
Manly Dan and the Manitars? Why am I just thinking of this being a
Hanna-Barbera,
Hanna-Barbera cartoon
yeah.
from the 80s? Manly Dan and the Manitars, next on ABC.
It's good. I like it. The other thing is just something that actually Professor Alko and I discovered is that the creator Alex Hirsch plays a lot of characters in the series, but he tends to play the ones that have secrets and things to hide. He plays Stan, Soos, McGucket, and Bill Cipher. Oh, and then this one, which is just really amusing to both of us, the fact that Trembley, our 8.5 president, is Santa Claus.
Okay, I don't care how silly that might sound to anyone. I want that to be true.
I know! It's totally just a headcanon thing, but I just freaking love it. Okay. So until next time, I am Miss Petite Geek.
And I'm Professor Alko.
Yeah, and I hope to be doing a review again with you soon.
Me too. Hey, thanks again for inviting me for this one. I hope to help you in the near future with another review. Hint, hint.
Awkward sibling hug?
Awkward sibling hug.
Pat.
You do know that when they read the credits, they're going to realize we're not siblings, right?
Well, it's just a review. There's not really going to be any credits.
No
It's
credits?
not like one of your films. I mean.
So unprofessional.